Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, of the world, of all places. Welcome back to another episode of Game Chat with Tom and Lucas. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tom, and right next to me is, of course, the ever chuckling, the ever cheesing, the Elden Ring Steezen.
I would be the other co-host, Lucas. Tom, thank you for that intro.
No problem, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Kind of a rough gaming situation this week, but that's a topic for a later point in the show.
Sure. Work's been good. You've been getting through it.
Work has been good. I had to stay real late at work yesterday. Got caught up with the dog that we had to place an IV, and he just had real like bad veins, so we couldn't get any blood, and it took like 4 attempts, which means it really took like 25 minutes of me just like restraining this dog. I thought I was gonna die.
Oh, was it a big dog?
It wasn't like huge. It was probably like 50 pounds, but
Okay.
it's really like the restraint position is not a comfortable position for like something of that time length. Usually it's supposed to be like a couple minutes.
But you were just assuming that position for days, huh?
Yeah, it was real hard. I was like, damn, I need to build up like real resistance just
You
to make
get
it like less stressful.
it's all about stretching and limbering up beforehand,
Gotta
gotta
limber up, that's true.
gotta stay flexible out here when you're holding back large dogs like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I will take that to heart.
Of course. Well, I have been seeing some of the posts you've been making and some of the posts I've been making in between your time at work on our wonderful Instagram account at Game Chat underscore Tom Lucas. We've got some great content on there, folks. A little bit of, did you knows, like some gaming facts in there. We got some wonderful content snippets in the form of reels such as this. We make posts alerting all of our viewers and listeners to new episodes every Monday on the dot. And, we will continue doing it there. So come check us out, come follow us, and, we'll just keep cranking out that content for you in the meantime, won't we?
That is the plan. Gotta get that content up and out and get those eyes on it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, and some of the ways we do that is by trying to keep up by playing like current games, some stuff that's really, in the public eye recently, just like Elden Ring, of course, which Lucas conned me into buying after I said I wouldn't buy it.
Did you say conned?
Persuaded,
I
whatever.
didn't con you. It's not. It's a
Whatever.
fantastic game, and I suggested that you get it because I thought
It
you'd have a good time with it.
it is pretty fantastic. I don't know if I've been able to put the time in as much as you have, but I've been having a good time being a samurai, a tarnished, running around the lands between, getting my ass kicked at every turn, finding giant, strange monsters and not approaching them because I'm scared of them. Yeah, like I said, I haven't had too much time with it, not as much as you have, Lucas. Why don't you regale us with a little bit of your quest to become the Elden Lord? What's been going on there?
What's been
Oh,
going on
wait,
there?
nothing's happened there because you deleted your save file like a little baby bitch.
Wow, that's quite the intro there. Let me provide some backstory, folks. I'm very new, as we went over in the Souls series episode we had last week. I am not familiar with Dark Souls games, Elden Ring being one of them. I knew there was an upgrade attribute system, and I assumed, with the reputation Dark Souls has, it's really hard. I thought whatever you do is just a permanent fixture. So I did very little to no upgrading at all, and thus had tens of thousands of runes on my person for a
40,000
long
to
for
be
a long time.
specific, folks.
40,000 it was, yes. Just gained through a lot of exploration and then not buying things due to fear of screwing up, because I'm going with this game blind and didn't look up where stuff was or what you could or couldn't do. And so, yes, Tom, I died. I lost 40,000 runes, which was basically like all of my progress to that point. And so I was like, well, I'm not gonna like just take that line down. I'm gonna need to do all that stuff again so I can get those runes back. Otherwise, it's like I didn't even, fight all of those things in the first place. So I was like, you know what, might as well. And then yeah, I was like, might as well just restart. And then after I'd done that, you were like, oh, you can respec. And I was like, oh well, too late. I didn't know that that was an option. So I could just spend runes, frivolously, and then I guess you can reset all that later. So, but that's the price of not, looking things up on the internet about a game and knowing that stuff ahead of time.
I mean, full clarity, folks. I have not looked this up, but it's basic RPG stuff, and I'm pretty positive you've been able to respec before in other Dark Souls games. I wish we had David here to confirm, but I won't look it up right now because I will not tarnish my experience with the game. um,
Oh,
but
so this is not even confirmed.
it's in there, Lucas. It's got to be.
What do you mean? Okay, you're telling me it's a guarantee it's in, but you don't know.
Google it right now. Do it. You won't.
You're okay if I tell you.
No, I don't want you to tell me. I want you to learn for
Oh,
yourself.
you know what? Fine,
But
I'm not going to look it
either
up.
way, you said you weren't going to take it laying down. I would argue resetting your save file is the most take it laying down thing I've ever
No,
heard in my
Tom,
entire
because
life.
I would
The game is
have to
supposed to
do
be
it all
brutal.
over
I've
again
seen
anyway.
clips of people sobbing and like crying and wishing that they were somewhere in someplace else in a whole nother person, not having to go through the trials and tribulations of this game because it is difficult. It is raw. And what did you do? You quit like a bitch. You quit like a bitch, sir. But that's okay because now I'm probably a higher level than you, which means I'm better at the game than you. So that's fine by me.
Well,
I'm
Tom,
gonna come invade your world
you
with my
started out
Uchigata. I don't even know
doesn't
what
even
it's called.
he
And
doesn't
I'm
know what
gonna
equipment he has.
it's a giant katana sword. And I have a longbow, and I don't even gotta approach you. I can invade your world, pop in a little bush, and then like one shot you from across the way with my
Yeah,
fletched
must be
arrows.
nice to not have to work for your equipment there, Tom.
Listen, man. You picked the most vanilla class you could, which
It's not a
admittedly,
vanilla class. It literally is nothing. You start it with
yeah,
your level.
vanilla,
This is
plain
the
vanilla
wretch
class.
class, ladies and gentlemen. This is you start at level 1. You're literally naked, aside from your man part being covered with a cloth, and you have a stick. Whereas Tom over here picked the level 9 samurai,
It
who's
wasn't
you have
level
a
9.
katana,
You
huh?
don't
Level 8, whatever you are.
you don't start at like I think you just start at
Yes,
level
you do. You
1.
have you have a no. The only class that starts at level 1 is the wretch class. Everything else is level 5 to 10.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my goodness, Thomas.
I like just
You didn't
changed
notice
my
that you had
armor.
like a bunch of stats into certain skills? Like they like you have enhanced
I just
points at
assumed
the
that was
start.
like a class attribute thing. But, whatever.
Well, each
Let
class
us
is a different level, but any class aside from like the naked class is all like above level 1.
let us know what you think in the comments, folks. Is Lucas a baby back bitch for dying and then quitting and
You're
restarting the
you're
game?
framing this all wrong. This is not you're not accounting for
I
that. I
did
didn't
no
spend any runes after of like 10 hours
sound
of play,
sounds like your
and then I
fault.
lost them all. I didn't know. Yes, I didn't know you could respec, so I was like, I don't want to spend points until I like find some stuff and decide if I even want to use it. Like I don't even have. I found this magic teacher, and I can't learn any magic because I don't have a staff, and I'm not going to look up where to get one. And I didn't pick a class that starts out with one, so
So
I'm not going to be
come
able to use
back,
that
like
stuff.
put a marker on your map, come back to Magic Man later once you got a staff. But you're only going to be able to find staff if you level up your stats, which you need to spend the runes to do. Anyway, folks, like I said, let us know in the comments. Is
This is
Lucas the
this is
biggest bitch
being
in video
framed
games?
horribly.
Stay tuned to find out next week.
My God.
Oh my God. Yeah, but as you can see, folks, we've both been playing Elden Ring. It's a great game. Lots of 10 out of 10s out there. And I have nothing but praise for it. So go out there, get yourselves your own tarnished, and come join us in the lands between where you die over and over and over again incessantly without stop. But yeah, Other than that, you see any cool things in the news lately, Lucas?
Well, speaking of Elden Ring, uh, apparently there's a Elden Ring branded candy, but you
Oh,
can't buy it.
wait,
So
why can't you buy it? I saw that
it's
they're
not
the
for
little peach
sale.
rings, right? They're the little peach ring things. The
Yeah, like the
troll.
trolley
Yeah.
candy, like tweeted it out, but you can't buy them.
So
Like
does
they're
it even
literally just
exist?
giving it to like gaming industry like people,
Oh,
but like they're not for sale.
maybe we can get some at PAX East. Maybe there'll be an Elden Ring installation that we can cop some Elden Rings at PAX East. Which, by the way, folks, this is official 100% confirmation. Game Chat with Tom and Lucas will be at PAX East
Th-
2022.
This is that has not been confirmed.
What do you mean?
Just because we bought tickets doesn't mean we're going.
Oh, that means we're going. I bought a flight, bro. Come at me.
Hey man, what if it
I
gets
got the
delayed?
time off.
What
Then
if you show up and they're like the plane's on fire? Sorry.
that's a terrible thing to say, Lucas.
Nothing's guaranteed in
How
this
dare
world,
you?
Tom. That happens all the time. There's malfunctions on the plane, things get delayed.
Just like
This
how
is a common thing.
it is not guaranteed for us to be able to go out and buy these Elden Ring candies, but they look delicious. Little gummy, sour candy things. Probably not sour, they're peach, but yeah, looks good for sure. How bad do you want them? Are you gonna
I,
try
I,
to find them on the internet somewhere?
no,
Go on eBay, cop some
no,
trolleys.
no, no.
Maybe if you got some and put them on your fingers, you'd be less inclined to quit every time you died.
That's not what happened. Oh my God. There was one, I died so many times before that, Tom. It was not like my first death. We're talking 10 hours in. That's probably 100 deaths.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. Like I said, folks, let us know what you think. Uh in other news, a couple of days ago, there it was Pokemon Day. We posted a story on our Instagram for it at GameChat_Tom Lucas. You can go check it out right now. But we posted a story for it, and during said Pokemon Day presentation, they actually announced that a new, like, full-fledged mainline Gen 9 Pokemon game is being released. Not next year, not the following year, but at the end of this year, Lucas. And that, sir, is absolutely wild with how much Pokemon they have been force feeding us lately. 2021, you had Diamond and Pearl dropping right at the end of the year around Thanksgiving time. Then, boom, right out the gate in 2022, you got Pokemon Arceus, which is the brand new game that we all know and love. You know, you run around the open world, you catch Pokemon. It's a great time. And now, just this past Sunday, they announced that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will be dropping with some cute ass looking new starter Pokemon in a new region. And it looks like it could potentially be a full realization of what all Pokemon fans want, which is a true seamless open world Pokemon experience, which, Arceus, it does pretty good in giving you that experience, but it's not, a true mainline Pokemon game. This looks like it could be that, Lucas. So it's pretty crazy out there. From the little bit they showed during the presentation, it doesn't look too iterative of an experience from Pokemon Arceus. They, in fact, showed all the same Pokemon that I have seen playing that game, roaming around the open world. So, I mean, we'll see as more information is divulged to us throughout the year. But I don't know. What do you think about this endless rampage of Pokemon that Game Freak and Nintendo have been feeding the populace lately? As a non-Switch player, is it too much? Or are they finally giving fans what they deserve?
I am I'm all Pokemon out. Pokemoned out.
Yeah,
Or I'm
you all
Pokemon
done?
pooped. I
You're
did
Poke
I
pooped?
did I'm Poke pooped. I did Pokemon as a kid. I did Pokemon Go the summer before my freshman year of college,
The summer everybody did Pokemon Go.
and that was it. No more Pokemon for me. There's just too many. There's too many, Tom. I'm used to that first gen, maybe a little bit of the second gen. They just got weird stuff now. I can't keep up.
Yeah, there's like garbage can Pokemon out there and stuff. Like
That's horrible.
we could do a whole episode where we just look up the most ridiculous Pokemon and put them on a tier list, like endless content there. But yeah, I kind of agree. But as a forever optimistic human, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it'll be a good thing.
I uh I hate your optimism.
Hey man, not all of us can be cheery all the time. Moving on. You see anything else cool in the news that you want to talk about? Any cool stories?
Any cool stories? I
No.
could not find my typical like real diamonds in the rough for this week.
Hey man,
No.
the Elden Ring candy is pretty cool, I'd say. Hopefully we get some someday. But
We'll see.
until then, we'll have of course more Elden Ring and Guardians of the Galaxy on Game Pass to help us pass the time. That's right, folks. The hit game that came out last year in 2021, brilliantly reviewed, wonderful game from Eidos Montreal, Guardians of the Galaxy, dropped on Xbox Game Pass this month, and now it'll be free to play to so many owners of the service. So myself included, I'm very excited about it. But that's kind of all we got for the news today, and yeah, we'll just keep moving it right along. Lucas, why don't you tell the nice folks out there what we're going to be talking about today?
Happy to. So today's main focus of the episode is going to be about the growing and devilish trend in gaming. And that would be the monetization of gaming outside of the game itself. A lot of extra stuff. A lot of little things. You could even say they're micro in size. And a lot of these things are purchased with real money. And these, in other words, a transaction, you could say. So that's what we're talking about, folks. Microtransactions in gaming, and
That was
just
the worst I've ever heard. But go
you
ahead.
know what, Tom? You could. Why didn't you introduce it, and
Keep
then I
going.
could have jumped in.
Keep
No,
going.
I already explained it. That's what we're talking about, people. We're talking about microtransactions in gaming, and really just how they started, where we're at, what the future holds, and maybe just some of the worst possible things we have seen.
For sure,
We
folks.
could share those with you.
For sure, folks. We'll take you through a little bit of a brief history of how games make money, if you will, and then talk about some of our least favorite examples of how they do this in some of the most insidious ways, if you will. A lot of bullshit in the world these days, and your good co-hosts Tom and Lucas are here to expose that bullshit when it comes to the gaming industry, aren't we, sir?
Well, I don't know if we're exposing it. I think we're just
Shedding some more light on it, if you will.
we're just putting a fan on that manure so people get a good waft of it.
What? Where do your mannerisms come from? What? Fan on the manure?
We're
What?
not we're just like we're not exposing anything. People are going to know about this stuff, but we're just kind of, we're re putting the scent of bullshit out there so they're reminded
Okay. With that,
how
folks.
hard they're getting fucked in the ass.
Oh my god. Well, with that, we'll take you through a little history. Okay. So, of course, video games, they're not always free. Um,
God.
I'd argue for most of history, they have not been free.
Yes,
People
that would be correct.
people got to make money somehow. People got to make a living, including those who, develop, sell, market games. It's a business. Lots of hard blood, sweat, and tears go into it, all the way dating all the way back to the 70s and the early 80s, when it was the time of the arcades, folks. Yes, the arcade cabinet, the classic uh, mall mecca where people would come with loads of quarters that they have earned throughout their time doing whatever odd jobs, walking grandma's dog and mowing the neighbor's lawn, all just to try and get that high score on Pac-Man and to face off against their friends and community members to really show them who is who. You know what I'm saying? Getting that high score.
That was like so specific of a situation,
Yeah,
but
man.
I see what you're
It
saying.
was happening for days. You had these establishments with all these games where, as most of our listeners know and most people in general know, an arcade cabinet is a big ass thing with a screen and some controls. You put a quarter in and you play a game. You didn't have a lot of choice involved in what games you could play. Each one was its own separate experience, and that's what you would do, and that's how they made money. They just like straight up, you pay to play, you collect that fee, and you keep collecting the fee, as you went along and played. A little bit later down the line, you know a lot of developers started implementing some difficulty mods for these games. And I believe one of the first instances of this was for Miss Pac-Man. But essentially, people started getting really good at these arcade games. And, you know, the longer you go without dying in one of these games, the less quarters you actually have to put into the machine to play it. So people would make difficulty kits to install into these arcade cabinets that would make the game harder and add more content, so that then it would, by association, cause people to put more quarters into the machine. And that's just how gaming kind of went. It was a very transactionally based experience, up until, we started hitting the 80s, where the home consoles and home computers started, taking a hold of the masses. The NES, the OG, the Atari, early Sega consoles, things like that. It gave gamers more freedom of choice in what they wanted to do, because you bought one box and then you could buy as much software, i.e. games, as you wanted to with these hard pieces of hardware. That's how people did it in the 80s, very classic retail brick and mortar establishments. Lucas, you ever go to a store? You ever buy a game at a store, Lucas?
It's been a long time, Tom. We're going on 10 years, but I did used to have to do that before the online.
As did people in the 80s. They were doing it all the time. NES, one of the best selling consoles of all time, really put gaming at the center of the home. Sure, there was a giant market crash halfway through the 80s decade due to Steven Spielberg, some would say. But, no matter. We moved on. We found new ways to innovate and make money. As time passed, technology grew. People started making more powerful consoles, more powerful ways to distribute games. We went from these big ass cartridges to more compact discs, some would say CDs, Lucas. And that's how they would interact with consoles. You still had these brick and mortar establishments selling them, of course, but around the 90s, the emergence of handheld machines, such as the Game Boy, came to be, which allowed people more freedom and portability to play games, which led to even more ways these classic establishments could sell you said games. You ever have a Game Boy? Way back in the day?
No,
How'd you play Pokemon then, huh?
I didn't play Pokemon.
You said you did.
I lied.
Wow, guys. Lucas is a
I didn't. I
big
didn't want to be
gaming
out. I didn't
bitch
want to be
and a
left out,
liar.
Tom.
Oh, wow. Lying to the audience. That's a new low. almost as low as some internet service packages went when they would try to like sell you an internet plan as we started moving to the later edge of the 90s, when that online gaming started to emerge, because of the structure and the way that some of these companies could sell you the internet to a home computer. A lot of early online games were subscription based, you would pay as you go. If you had the internet a month, you could pay to play the game a month. One of these games was credited for potentially the first ever microtransaction in an online game. And that game is called Akaya Dreams of Divine Lands. It is a text-based multi-user dungeon that came out in 97. It is believed to, like I said, have the first microtransaction, as they implemented that dual currency system that quite a lot of games use today, where you have an in-game currency and an out-of-game currency that you can pay real money to collect. And same thing with this game. You could use it to purchase virtual goods within the game, And that was one of the first ways they really started bringing that in to the fold. As we move forward, we get into the 2000s, where you saw a lot more heavy use of the internet in e-commerce, credit cards, debit cards, Amazon, people paying for things online. Lucas, have you ever made a purchase online before?
I have, Tom.
Of course you have. Everybody has. We live in the goddamn 21st century, where it is the age of the internet, and everybody's making purchases online, just like people were doing back in 2006 on the Xbox Live Marketplace, which is one of the first ways that one of the first places that a lot of games implemented the concept of DLC, or what does that stand for, Lucas? That's right.
Downloadable content.
That's right. Downloadable content. And one of the first, most infamous examples of this that really ticked gamers off back in the day. Do you know what I'm referring to, Lucas?
I believe I do, Tom.
Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about it?
This is good old Todd Howard and Bethesda.
Oh yeah, it is.
I gotta say, doing research for this, I was not surprised that they were involved. But yes, back with the game Oblivion, there was a quote unquote DLC where all it was horse armor, and this costs $2.50, and your horse would just get a wearable set of armor. Keep in mind, this is a single player game. This is only going to be seen by the player who buys it.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Duh.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Mm-hmm. And people were pretty PO'd about it. They thought this was an outrageous price for like a one item, like basically one outfit for not even a person, but for a horse. And yeah, that is the first real instance of, a microtransaction, so especially something that small, which really kind of fit the description. Nowadays, microtransactions can be much larger in both what they give you and the actual price of said transaction.
Absolutely. And that's like rolling us right into, the past decade or so, the 2010s, if you will, which is really the emergence of microtransactions on a broader spectrum within games. Back before that, you started to have a lot of MMOs like World of Warcraft go subscription based. You also had a huge emergence of mobile games due to the advent of the iPhone and the App Store. And then come the 2010s, this really started to change how games were designed and developed. It made developers look at how they could make money off of the game continuously, and made them really consider that aspect when they were creating the content, which has led to primarily the emergence of things like live games, games as a service, if you will, where it's not primarily focused on how can we like gain money from people purchasing this game. It is how can we keep player retention? How can we loop people in so they're always coming back for more? They always keep doing it. Just take a look at Take-Two, for example. See like GTA Online, any of the 2K games, really. Specifically, NBA 2K18 is notorious for this, but people kept coming back for more. They constantly added more content, just things for people to buy that they could essentially milk a gamer's investment for as long as they could by selling people continuous content as time moved on. You know, there were other ways people started to monetize games that came and went during this time as well. One thing that you still see more and more often today is a battle pass or a season pass type structure, if you will, where developers will implement a pass, if you will, where you can play a game for a certain amount of time and continually unlock more and more content for it as you play. See pretty much any modern multiplayer game today, Halo Infinite, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, it's all there, you know. And they also had some models that didn't necessarily last as long, such as, I don't know if you let me know if you've ever had a game like this, Lucas, but way back in the early days of like 2010, game developers would start restricting online functionality to an online pass, if you will. One game I specifically remember doing this, having this, was Uncharted 3. Essentially, a lot of publishers out there were like, man, how do we fight the used game market? People buying games, playing them, and then they're selling them back to the store. You ever buy a used game at GameStop, Lucas? You know what I'm saying?
I've bought used games, but I've never like bought a game and then sold it back when I was done.
Oh, see, I did that all the time. Foolishly so, by the way. But, you know, some of these games would come with codes in them that would restrict the multiplayer from you unless you had a valid code. I specifically remember my brother Trevor uh, getting Uncharted 3 as a gift. And one day when he just wasn't home and I had already played and beat the game because we shared a PlayStation 3 at the time, I just took the little slip of paper out of the case, redeemed the code on my account, and started playing Uncharted 3 multiplayer. Then, like 4 days later, when my brother went to do it, he's like, "Yo, Tom, you know why my code's not working?" I was like, yeah, man, I stole it. So Trevor didn't get to play any Uncharted 3 multiplayer, unfortunately, but I had a blast. You know, EA, infamous with this strategy. They even had a name for it. They called it Project $10, in fact, where they implemented these online passes in a lot of their games, such as Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age Origins, and unsurprisingly, quite a lot of their sports titles. This model didn't really last that long, but you know, like I said before, people have just found new ways to monetize games, you know, and that's kind of where we're at today. People continually finding new ways to monetize games, but we'll get into that a little later. You know, with all these different methods throughout history that we've gone over, that people have used to squeeze a little penny, a little extra buck from the average gamer. What are some examples of the most egregious ways you've seen this done in some video games? Please tell me. I'd love to know.
There's quite a few examples, Tom. Well, I'm going to give you the most egregious uh, to today's episode. One of which being, and I didn't, know this was a practice, but there's a particular game out there, Metal Gear Solid 5: Phantom Pain, that offered players insurance that they
This
could
one
purchase with real money.
so ridiculous.
Yes, video game insurance, and that was to prevent items from their base being stolen. One of the mechanics for that game was you operated a FOB, or forward operating base, which obviously would contain items and equipment, and these could be raided by rivals. And so what the insurance did is anything that was stolen, instead of it actually being taken from you, the game just created a duplicate to give to the player or rival that took said item, and you didn't actually lose anything. However, this insurance, like real life insurance, is not permanent. And the most that you could have it for would be 2 weeks. And then
What?
you would have to buy it again.
You have to pay premiums?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. It's not a one-time thing.
oh.
You can get it for 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, or 2 weeks. And those are your options. Again, I don't know why like anyone would purchase insurance, but that was something that the game had, and I'm sure some people made multiple purchases to keep their items safe.
That's like so stupid too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't understand, like especially that I I don't know. I don't know. Like I wonder how often people are getting raided where like all your shit's getting stolen, where this would actually be a thing people would need. You know what I'm saying?
See, then if you need it, like, why would you have to actually pay cash for it? Like, then it's just poorly designed. Where it's like, if this is a game requirement, like, you should just be able to, like, I don't know. That's just the whole thing is so weird.
I don't know about paying for insurance in games. That seems a little far fetched to me, but I like again, it's just another way for people to absolutely squeeze all the joy out of games with greed, Lucas, with pure greed. Wouldn't you agree?
Some would say greed is good.
I what?
That's a Gordon Gekko reference. That's all right. We'll move past it. Good movie, Wall Street. You should watch it with Charlie Sheen. But
Okay,
that's
sure, sure.
some people will get that reference. But
Well,
yes, in the gaming world, it's a bad thing.
yeah, for sure. Another example of these egregious microtransactions that I is infamous in the gaming space, folks. We've already talked about it on this podcast for sure. It is, of course, the long running at this point, and now fully fixed game, by the way, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Of course, this game literally made mainstream media headlines because of how bad and how predatory its monetization system was. People were it was crazy. It was crazy. You would pay $60 for a full price game and you could not enjoy it or even get remotely close to doing exactly what you want to do in the full price Star Wars game. What do you want to do, Lucas? You want to be Darth Vader. You want to pick people up from 6 feet away, choke them with nothing, and then stab them with your lightsaber and throw them away and move on. And you couldn't do that unless you paid real money to potentially get him through loot boxes or grind incessantly for hours and hours on end. And EA essentially tried to, circumvent this for a little bit by they tried to circumvent it for a little bit to by almost evening the system out. They made it less time you had to play in game to gain enough like in game points where you could then get these characters. So they decreased that time, and because of that they then increased the price of the loot boxes and the currency to get them, because they're like, hey, it's evening it out. And as we know and we've discussed before, this made headlines. It caused political legislation in many different places to really, really consider these predatory practices. That's essentially gambling. It's a trap A lot of kids play these games. A lot of kids play Star Wars. A lot of kids can easily pull a credit card from mommy's purse, if you know what I'm saying, and I know you do. But you know, it was not a fun way to do anything. And a lot of these games, specifically those published by EA, followed this pattern in the 2015 to 2020 era, where they would just charge ridiculous amounts of money to try to circumvent certain aspects of the game to either make it easier or speedier to play through the game or get a leg up on those who you were playing against, you know? And I know we've talked about this before, but have you ever played this game, Lucas? I know you played the old one, but
Yeah, that's the only one I played is the
that's okay.
original Battlefront 2, which, hey, it's a fun time.
Not plagued by microtransactions. Neither is the
No
new one.
microtransactions at all.
None. Those were back in the days where you paid for a game, you got what you paid for.
Hmm. You could play as anybody if you and you were rewarded for instead of, opening up your wallet, if you got enough points during a match, you would just be able to play as whoever the specialty character was for that map. Obviously, you're not going to play as uh, Yoda on like Mustafar, but whoever the specialty character was, and they had different people assigned, whatever side you were on, Empire or Rebellion, you just got that person and you could play with them until you died. Like literally just if you were really good and kept it going, you could play with them the rest of the match. But, those are
As
the
it
old
sh-
days.
as it should be in a fun Star Wars game. It rewards those who put in the time and effort to kick some ass and shoot some Wookiees. Or not Wookiees. We love
Why? Yeah. Whoa,
Wookiees.
whoa, what do you got against Wookiees?
Ewoks. Excuse me.
What do you against Ewoks?
What do you not have against
Oh
Ewoks?
my God. They helped overthrow the Empire.
Some would say.
George Lucas would say.
George Lucas says a lot of things that aren't necessarily right.
Oh my God.
Hit me with another one, Lucas. What you got?
So, Tom, obviously microtransactions are not just limited to AAA studio big console games. They also affect the mobile games. And one of the most famous mobile games, I'm sure everybody knows, is of course Angry Birds. Really popular game that came out in 2009, swept the mobile platform. Everyone was playing it. It was a great time. So obviously they greenlighted a sequel, Angry Birds 2. Now Angry Birds 2 implemented lives, and if you didn't have at least one life, you couldn't play a level, and you would lose lives by obviously failing a level. You didn't kill all the piggies with the birds you were supplied, and if you didn't have a life, the only way to play the game obviously is to have one, and so you'd have to either wait, which would be like 30 minutes, or you could just pay for more lives with cash.
Of course. Is
And
that
needless
like
to
the
say, people were very upset.
is that like the sort of like the stamina system where a lot of mobile games will implement, where it's like you have X lives that
Yes,
generate every so often?
it's pretty similar, where it's like if you do not have this resource, you cannot continue with said game, which is like, I don't know why you design a game that can't be played, but that is, yeah, that's how it worked. Obviously, yeah, that's a big thing with a lot of games, but the fact that they took a really popular game and just ruined it with using that method is like, I don't know, very upsetting.
Mhm.
So people were rightfully pissed, and
I mean, rightfully so. Like, how you can't even play the game.
yeah, literally, you like 30 minutes of life. Why would you? The whole point of a mobile game is like something you can play really quick in your spare time. You have a couple minutes to spare. It's like, who's sitting around for half an hour just to like, and then if you get one life and lose, you have to wait another 30 minutes.
Oh my
It's like,
God.
it's so dumb. So really, you'd have to wait. You'd want to have a full amount of lives,
Yeah, you'd
which
have
would
to.
be 2 hours and 30 minutes of time.
Angry Birds becomes like Wordle. You play it once a day, maybe.
Right. And it's like that game is not designed. That's a horrible way to design a game like that. But that's pretty much what it is.
Ugh,
So yeah,
that's
Angry Birds really took a steep dive.
another game out there that has not a terrible example of microtransactions, if you will, but more so, this was a DLC for a recent game that really, really missed the mark. It is none other than the infamous Marvel's Avengers, developed by Crystal Dynamics and put up by Square Enix. And, if you follow this game or are one of the abysmal few that play this game, you might have been disappointed to see that they somehow in the year of this character botched none other than the Spider-Man hero drop into this game. Lucas, it's like, how do you fuck up Spider-Man? He's so easy to get right. But yeah, folks, it was not good with this guy. A lot of people were very much, of course, looking forward to this hero in this game, because they, despite the abysmal efforts that this game has made, they are constantly trying to put out new content and keep players updated with what they're doing. And of course, one of these features that was teased many a year ago was the PlayStation exclusive edition of Spider-Man as a playable hero in the game. Now, the Spider-Man is not the first playable hero that was introduced into this game. They have had a few up to this point. They had Hawkeye, both Hawkeyes actually. They had Clint Barton and Kate Bishop thrown in, as well as the wonderful hero Black Panther. And each of these heroes, along with their standard play sets and abilities, so on and so forth, included a large swath of story content, if you will. They came with their own missions, their own events, raids, what have you. Specifically, the Black Panther one was received quite fairly. It put Wakanda in the game. They did a huge raid with the villain Claw. A lot of people were liking this game, this update. Fast forward a couple months, Spider-Man rolls around, and they put him in the game. And not only is this a sad, sad excuse of Spider-Man gameplay, we'll throw some imagery into the B-roll to show you guys what we're talking about. Like, PS1 Spider-Man level vibes of combat. Dude was just breakdancing, punching things in midair. The swinging, terrible. Somehow even Fortnite did better than the actual Avengers game when it came to swinging and moving around as Spider-Man. You literally just like, there's no momentum whatsoever. There, you just, sling webs onto invisible ceilings in quite empty cities and ports. And what they also forgot to add was any sort of story mission. There was nothing. Everything else was an actual, like, plotted out story arc with cutscenes and stakes. Spider-Man gets a handful of, like, listen to an audio recording, go do this thing, rinse repeat missions. So not only were a lot of people just like plain pissed off about the way he played, so many more, even if you could like justify that, you couldn't justify the absolute omission of any sort of real content for arguably Marvel's largest hero out there, you know? And they said it was a whole exclusivity thing. They didn't want to lock this to certain platforms, but it's unacceptable if you ask me, Lucas. How do you botch Spider-Man?
I'm looking at this like right
It's
now.
it's bad, right?
It's awful.
You jump up, you swing the web, you move, and then you literally stop mid-air while you're swinging out the other web. It makes no sense how it's done.
And the Fortnite one actually looks like kind of fun.
Right? The Fortnite one
Like,
looks
it's
sick.
not bad. It's like that's okay. That's pretty cool.
It like has made me want to like low key pick up Fortnite again because you can just like unlock or get the Spidey gloves. That's probably also a thing you can pay real money for, though.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Of
you can.
course.
I
People,
know
I
you
mean,
unlock them through the battle pass, but got to pay money to get the battle pass. So,
that is true.
oh man,
Wow.
you got any other terrible ones you've seen to take us home, Lucas?
Uh, I think it's only fitting that we pick an EA game to end
Oh,
this type of discussion.
but of course.
I'm not sure you're familiar with the game Dungeon Keeper, but this is another a mobile title.
Okay.
Um, it's
Enlighten me.
technically free to play, but we'll get into that in a second. You can download it for
How
free.
you know?
Yes, you can technically play it without making any in-app purchases. However, similar to like those energy bars and the Angry Birds running out of lives, there's a countdown timer for all the activities you do. So in order to progress with said game, whatever the current objective is has to be finished. And some of these would be like days at a time. So, and the game would be like, oh, hey, if you don't want to wait, you could just give us some money and we'll let you get to the next part of the game. And it got so bad that let me just make sure I get the name right here. Here we go.
Oh
The
God.
British Advertising Standards Authority had to get involved. And they basically were like, they're the ASA for short.
Yeah.
They had to, call up EA and be like, hey, you're not allowed to advertise this as free to play.
It's like that's false advertising there, guys.
Yeah. And so EA was like, oh no, but like you can beat the game without paying. And the ASA stated that the timer becomes, and this is in quotes, excessively onerous. So, and they thought it would be extremely likely that players would want to reach a position where they would be unable to take any more meaningful or progressive action until the timer had finished or been skipped via payment. So, therefore, they thought that the experience would be unexpectedly curtailed against the player base, based on saying the game's free. Not knowing that money would be required to progress the game in any type of feasible fashion. So that was the result of that. So that was no longer labeled as free, at least in like the British version of wherever this was being sold on the App Store.
See, and that's really the worst way to implement these kinds of things, in my opinion, is when it literally is halting your ability to play the game. Like pay to win's one thing,
Pay to
but
play is entirely like
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
yeah.
Like, especially too, if they make you pay for the game, like on top of that, like it's even worse. And this was a mobile game, you said?
This was a quote unquote free to play mobile game.
Yeah. Those are the most guilty examples of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But once again, EA back at it with just like such BS. Like why like that game is literally just designed like that format is just like they're gonna give us money. Like making a game like that. It's
For
not
sure.
even like making the game good or interesting. It's just like to progress in said game, they have to pay us, or this game would take like this is a mobile game, it would probably take months and months and months to get through if you did not pay.
Oh my God. See, that's ridiculous. Like you can't justify that in any way. The same way you can't really justify NFTs in video games, which is where we're headed, Lucas. I don't know if you know this,
I don't even know what NFT is. I just know that everybody hates them and that they're stupid.
They're
That's what
so
I found on the
stupid.
internet is even Keanu Reeves was like roasting some guy over NFTs. And I was like, oh, okay. I feel like Keanu knows what's up.
All right, picture this, right? Picture this. You get a gun skin in Call of Duty, right?
Uh,
You have one of like, let's say 200 gun skins, but you have to pay quite a lot of money on like with cryptocurrency to like
oh,
purchase.
wait.
Oh yeah,
NFTs are purchased with
it's
cryptocurrency.
all crypto based because it's
Oh, this is
all
all. Oh my goodness. This is so far out of my realm of understanding. I didn't realize they were exclusive to the crypto world.
oh dude, that's how like TLDR, they're basically digital assets that are unique and are verified, you like verifiably owned by whoever purchased them because they are all paid for with crypto and they're like stored like on the blockchain. For the most part, they're dumb shit pictures of monkeys that all look like they took too much Molly. But picture, Lucas, like I said, picture you're in Fortnite. What if Spider-Man was only available to like 200 people in that game? What if you could only be one of 200 people who play Fortnite who could be Spider-Man in Fortnite? You would have to get some Bitcoin, pay for this skin in Fortnite, and then boom, you own it. And that's where video games are headed, Lucas. Quite a lot of publishers are already fucking doing this. Of course, you've got Ubisoft throwing in NFTs for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. You've got EA, of course, saying that they are going to quote that we should quote expect them to think more innovatively and creatively about monetization in games on a go forward basis, and that means NFTs, folks. And he said that like CEOs of EA said that on an earnings call, you know. Square Enix, Hazelight Studios, Zynga, of course, Take Two, all these companies, all these companies are trying to get in on that NFT floor. And frankly, it makes me sad. It makes me sad, Lucas. Like, get these things out of my games. It's unfair. It gives players an innate. It's one thing if they're customizable, but it's like, it's a slippery slope. When does that become, you know, a Bitcoin gun in Warzone? What if the Bitcoin gun has better stats than any other gun in the game? We're all fucked because they are just implementing NFTs in games. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I'm looking up NFT. I'm so confused. Couldn't you just like buy an NFT? Because like they're like some of them are pictures. Like, couldn't you just screenshot it? And they sell for this is saying there's NFTs that sell for like millions
Millions.
of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency.
Millions.
Like why would anyone buy them?
It's ridiculous, Lucas. I don't really get it. They're like terrible for the environment as well. Like,
The environment, like the physical environment.
yeah, yeah. Google environment, like on your own time, Google environmental effects of cryptocurrency mining and NFTs. But
Wait,
either
mining, like physical mining.
no, they don't physically mine them. It's done with a computer, but
Oh,
like, yeah.
okay. I was
Anyway.
like, okay, I was like, wait.
Oh,
One of these pictures that is being sold is something that is like old. It's like a meme from like 10 years ago.
Lucas, guys, this is
Like, why
the
would someone why would someone buy something that like you
this
can
is
just look up on the internet?
this is the episode where Lucas finds out about NFTs.
Ugh.
Bro, it's like
No,
so
wait,
bad.
this article from BBC says what's stopping people from copying this digital art? Nothing. It just says nothing.
Bro, they used to like they still do it. One of the biggest like projects out there is this thing called NBA Top Shots, which is literally like, let me take like a 4-second gif of like LeBron James dunking, and that's the NFT. It's a gif.
Why would someone buy like a GIF? You can just make GIFs
Exactly.
for free, or you can just.
Exactly. And they're
All
trying to
right.
put these in video games, Lucas. They're trying to put these in video games. They're already like sort of there in, customizable assets and things like that. But the key difference is that anybody can buy them, and anybody can buy them with normal money. I don't know, dude. It's really stupid, but I don't know. Do you want these things in video games? I certainly don't.
I don't even know how that would work. Like
Exactly.
you gotta link up your Bitcoin account. Like for like, I thought a credit card was like hard enough.
It's a dark, dark future, folks. And the best way we can avoid that future is if we stay the fuck away from NFTs. Game Chat with Tom and Lucas does not endorse the blockchain. You heard it here first.
I don't even want to know what that is. You know what else we can do to try to curtail this
Have people
is
follow us on our Instagram account at Game Chat underscore
I
Lucas.
I don't see how that would help curtail publishers from not
Because
having
then
NFTs.
then people will
But you should
hear,
follow us.
they will hear our lamenting, they will hear our cries, and the gamers will rise up. So many people will hear our call to action, and then nobody will fuck with NFTs. Me and you will single-handedly stop the crypto bros, Lucas.
Is that what the crypto verse? Oh my god.
You got
I'm scared
anything?
for the future, Tom.
As we all are. I hate to say it, but that's just the world we
Oh,
live in. You got any other closing thoughts you'd like to end on before you go spend 2 hours like looking up how stupid these things are?
um, I guess I was just gonna say that the other way that we can kind of show our support for like anti microtransactions and anti NFTs, or just like additional game purchases in general, is by really just playing some of the real stellar like single player games that have been coming out where they don't have any of that extra fluff. It's a finished game. Bandai Namco, Santa Monica Studios, like they're putting out like real games, and there's no BS. And it's really like that might not be a thing 10 years from now. So we got to be grateful for that stuff while it's here and really show our support. So, but those might be a thing of the past, and then I don't know what we're gonna do.
What if like tattoos become NFTs? Where does it stop?
I
Where
don't
does it
even. How would that even work? Like, I get a physical tattoo, take a picture of it, and then you own my tattoo. Or like tattoo parlors won't, because someone bought it. Like, no, they can't give that tattoo out to people because they don't own it anymore, even though it's their work. Like, what kind of, the world has gone crazy.
and the
I'm so
only
lost.
the only thing we can do to find comfort in this crazy world, folks, is quest, of course, for the Elden Ring.
Become the Elden Lord, and then you don't
You
have to
can
listen to
stop
anybody.
NFTs. Thou that holds the Elden Ring can expose thine bullshit and kill them
Oh,
NFTs. And with that, we're gonna leave y'all to it. Follow us on Instagram, search us on YouTube, like, subscribe, listen to us on Spotify, tell all of your friends, tell them to listen to this podcast and to never, ever, ever buy an NFT again. Isn't that right, Lucas?
NFTs are incredibly dumb. I'm like shocked at how simple it is. I thought it was this real like advanced thing that was sweeping the nation, but I don't know. I guess I had too much faith in humanity.
And with that, we're out. Peace out, folks.
Goodbye, everybody.